Ooh, can I have some?
All right, ladies. So now we're going into our Tuta Loca es section where we call out motherfuckers for doing the most.
Yeah.
We have that every time. People don't cheer for us. I like that. It was like,
Wow, we love
How
to
can
cheer.
you not?
We're like, if you need us to be cheerleaders,
We're like dance. We can twerk out here. Like we're here. We're doing motherfuckers who are doing the most. So like
we're shouting ourselves out. No.
Yeah. Well, today in Tuta Loca, we asking vaccine or no vaccine. Where do we stand on the vaccine?
bueno, I'm getting the vaccine.
Same.
I haven't had COVID, but I'm freaked out. I've been freaked out a lot by it. And I think that it's also like we've been put through so much. And like a part of me is also like I'm tired of whether or not knowing if I have it or not, or if I'm contaging, if I'm being contagious to my little nephew who hasn't had it and I don't want him to get it. So I'm getting the vaccine.
Yeah.
So for me, ya yo coroné. I've gotten COVID, but pre-COVID, I definitely was thinking about not getting the vaccine. I don't normally do the flu shot. I've never given my kids the flu shot.
I haven't gotten it either in my life.
Yeah.
I've never gotten the flu. My son actually got the flu when he was, I think, 3 years old. But after I had COVID, not that I also had it bad, because gracias a Dios, I didn't have like terrible symptoms. It wasn't like a horrible experience, but it made me see everything in a whole new way. And I was like, dude, if it's available, like, why not do it? I think just all of 2020, like all that shit that we went through with COVID, it was like, like at least try to, I'm not going to think about porque quien se la pone, entonces le da, o como que all the stuff much. Extra, like I can't think about that. Right now, I'm thinking in my box and I'm like, all right, there's a COVID vaccine, I'm going to get it.
Yeah, and also like, I think it's beyond just us. Like, I think the way I think about it is like, it's time for, like, I can't just think of myself individually. It's like for the sake of other people. And yes, there's a ton of research and I trust that there's people that are investigating the negative side effects. But at the same time, there's only so much you could do. ¿Te va a volver loca? No puedo volverme loca because I got to be sane because I have Posh Palma Styles, I have Raíces Media, and I have Valerie Diaz. So like,
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I really resonate with Jilly and you guys on the whole. Like, I don't get flu shots. I have in my lifetime at some point gotten one, but it was like I was young and I forgot even how that ended up, like how I ended up getting it. But I don't even know what it is. I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but like my mom thinks of plant medicine a lot. And so like when flu season comes, in her mind, what happens in the household is we go into preventative mode. So she starts making the té de jengibre, the ginger teas, all this, like, you know what I mean? And we're taking medication and we're very preventative. And that doesn't mean that we completely always pass maybe getting a flu. And I'm somebody who, yo me enfermo easy. I am shocked, knock on wood, que yo no me ha coronado. I'm shocked to have
I'm sorry. I just also have to take a pause for this. Ya yo coroné and coronado.
I
That's hilarious. Ya yo coroné.
Yeah.
That's hello.
But it's true. I've been shocked, but I've also been very afraid of it. Like, and I've still moved because I'm one of those people who had gotten on a plane during COVID. Like, I've moved around during COVID, pero siempre with a deep fucking fear the whole way through. And I think that for me, I just have my fear around the vaccine. I think people should get it. I'm not anti-vax, so this is not going to take that corner. I'm not going to do that. But I am vax suspicious, and I am
100%.
And it's less about the fact that I don't think vaccines work. I do think vaccines work. I think anti-vax people think vaccines aren't effective and like are unnecessary. I think it's necessary. I fear the speed at which it was developed. I fear, having to trust that the research is happening along the way. pero tengo a deep fear that at the end of it, they're going to discover some crazy ass shit that like when I'm 70 is going to bite me in the ass because I lived during the times of COVID and I needed to get a fucking vaccine.
Yeah.
But that is a big fear that I think can be dispelled with information. I think that part of my trusting the information has to come with trusting the people giving the information. And a lot of, for the Latinx and Black community, there's so much history of people testing things.
And like being misinformed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And us being misinformed and finding out like way down the line. You always hear, like I can just hear it now. I can see 10 years from now, me on the TV hearing, oh, did you get a COVID vaccine and feel these side effects? If so, call this lawyer, blah, blah, blah.
Yes. Yes, call Joe. He can save you. Like, no, and I'm like, Joe, don't come for me. Like,
so I am suspicious, and I think it's a healthy suspicion, right? Like it's coming from valid things and valid ways in which our systems have deceived us in order to do what they think is best for people. So I worry a little bit, and so I'm more of the mind of I'm watching people who are brave enough to take it first. Yeah. I'm watching to see how it's affecting them. And obviously it affects everybody differently, right? So it's not one catch-all thing, but I feel like, damn, if things are going well, and if in a few months, in 6 months, maybe that I'm even saying that, I'm like, bitch, maybe that's too long to wait. But I'm like, maybe even just half a year. If I'm like, damn, if we can see in half a year more, it's not just the people who just took it, but the time that they continue to take in the lab to work on it. So I'm like, if they needed more than less than a year, si cuando le toca el año, vamos a poner más o menos that the thing has been out, then I feel like I would trust it a little more because they've had time to work on it. And then, give it to me. Like, I feel a little afraid of the timing is all.
Yeah, I agree with everything that y'all said. I feel like I keep on thinking of that meme of SpongeBob looking out of the blinds at everybody else walking, like that's because that's really what it is. Like I feel like I live in the two worlds of like I have like my family that's suspicious, they're like, no, they're gonna put tracking devices and like
I've heard
we've gone into that suspicion, like tracking devices and they changing lifestyles and all this stuff. And like when it comes to tracking devices, I'm all over the internet. If they need to find me, they can find me. I don't give a fuck. But like, that shit is scary. And then but then I have like my friends who are like, no, the science is there, the research is there, they've said this, they said that. But that same fear of like, thinking back to like how they used to like test on Puerto Rican and, people in the Caribbean women for like birth control and shit like that. Like what type of defects could possibly come from this vaccine that we don't see now because we took it because we were scared. But also I was scared. I've been scared for like a whole year.
Literally.
And I'm also like, because I'm an educator, I get like that kind of like cool insight of like being one of the first people that can get it. So I'm like, at this point, I'm kind of just like, well,
what do you do?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it. Like, I think I'm gonna get it. But I also do want to kind of like wait and see. But I'm definitely like on the road to getting it.
I think the thing that took me out of my reassurance of the vaccine, because at some point where they were like, oh, we might require it for people to fly, I was like, well, I guess I'm getting a vaccine because the bitch is not flying because
you're not living. Exactly.
And that's something that has been brought up a lot of times when I get into this discussion of like the ways that it's going to change our lifestyles. Like if you got to travel, you got to have proof of vaccine. There's talk of Ticketmaster already having protocols in place for concerts. If you want to go to a concert, you're gonna have to show.
I didn't know that. Oh,
wow. So it's seeping into everything, and these businesses already have a plan.
Right.
So it's like.
But then when people throw out the conspiracy theory of like, Well, of course that's going to be the case because all of these corporations are in cahoots. So, you know, you have companies because one of the vaccine companies that's out there, Trump has stake in, right? Then one of the other ones, you know, there's all these weird Bill Gates theories that are very weird, but like he owns stock in a lot of those things. Fauci has, so that people are like, yeah, but they're making money. So don't you think it makes sense for them to want to make sure that it is pushed as much as possible? And I hear shit like that and I'm like, oh, that feels absurd, but we live in a capitalist society that doesn't care about it.
You gotta have that room of like
maybe I should think about it. But also I just think that like Fauci was talking about it and you know, somebody had asked him the question, was it Anderson Cooper or Chris Cuomo, one of the two, where like a lot of people are asking if they take the vaccine, why do they still have to wear a mask? Like, is the vaccine doing it? And they're like, and Fauci was like, no, well, we don't know. Maybe like the vaccine can still be like living in you and you don't get sick, but like you could still.
We're like, well, what's the
like, and then so then I'm kind of like, so what's the big difference again between having it and not having it? Like I'm actually genuinely trying to understand what the difference is because people need to respect the fact that you're putting something in my body and I do get to be very critical of what that means. And you can't just shove it down my throat, you know, but you can put up barriers and say, well, you can't participate in flying, concerts, all types of shit if you don't do it. But then that feels so forced that it's like,
exactly
with more
feel pressured. You feel pressured
with more results that are like, girl, what are you talking about? Look at all these great results. And they have in their trials had successful results and some not so successful, which is normal to any medicine that we've ever taken. The difference is the speed. And that's why I'm saying it's not that I don't trust medicine, but this happened very
que apenas no ha pasado ni un año completamente.
So it's a lot, but I think we all have the right to like question it. But at the same time, it's like my little brain, it's a little bit exhausted of like having to live with so much questioning, you know, why can't I just trust you a little bit? But then it's like, I can't, I'm conditioned to not trusting you.
To not trust anyone.
You know, like it's just, it's a lot, like it's heavy stuff. And I think it's like everyone, and that's why like I try not to be judgmental when I hear people giving like a different opinion. Some people I just observe. I'm like, nah, you're talking nonsense. Go to sleep. You know, but like, you know what I'm saying? Some people do have their logical, like, you know, they're like how we're saying the two sides of the coin, you know, and it's just hard, like, period, you know?
I just want COVID to be over.
I know.
Go back to me being.
No, and Skittles mentioned Ticketmaster, and I'm like, dude, the first thing that I'm like waiting for when this
is a concert.
It's concerts. I'm like, oh my god, I miss music. I miss like
live music and dressing up to like, you know, go to like a special event to do something that you love.
I don't even like dressing up like that, but I'm like, wow, I've become a pajama girl. I only I'm wearing pajamas right in the
that's
like
awesome.
You know what I mean? Like it's just but it's made me for the first time because I've never really been a fashionista in any sort of way, but it's made me want to put some pride and thought into some of what I wear when I leave my house because I leave my house. So why not?
Because you're doing something different out of the norm because you're so now used to wearing either yoga pants or you know, athleisure wear or gym shit or pajamas that now people are like, oh, like when they used to have those things before at the beginning of COVID, when it was like when your highlight was going to food shopping and people were like, yo, this is my outfit to go food shopping, and people would get like all decked out. I'm like, yo, I feel you.
Normal.
Real.
I feel like even now, because going out is so limited and stuff like that, I feel like I'm repeating clothes over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm wearing the same shit all the time now because it's like, if I'm not trying to get dressed up, I'm just going to throw on the same jeans and the same shirt.
Like, whatever.
Totally. That happens all here in Florida, though, things aren't like, in terms of like, como que
y'all are regular over there. Y'all are
like, I didn't want to like, I don't know, we're like normal. Like, but regardless, it's not like we're out there tampoco like
No, we don't go
really
clubbing
truly
and stuff, although the clubs are
exposing-
open. But we
The
don't.
clubs are open in Miami.
Well,
Yeah.
I've seen some stuff on my Instagram from some people that I follow, like twerking competitions in clubs. Yeah.
We haven't been to clubs, but I think they're open. I don't
You
know.
know, and I'm not even please, and I would.
Yeah, if you have, you have.
No, but we haven't because
we would have told you if we would.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I saw that in Atlanta, Future had a concert. Future the rapper had a concert, but people were like on top of each other. Like it wasn't social distance whatsoever. And I'm kind of like, okay, guys, I get the urgency of wanting normal life. Pero try the social distance. At least try the social. No mask. Like literally, no one was wearing masks. Like not even the security that was working the fucking event was wearing a mask. I think it was like 600 people in that small little room. And I'm just
that's a lot.
That's a whole risk. Why do we
don't make progress?
Because that's what. And here's my ultimate. And I guess I'll end on this. Is part of my hesitation is also coming with the frustration that fucking New Zealand didn't need a vaccine to get rid of COVID. New Zealand just had a leader that was like, no, we have to follow these rules because we do not want to find ourselves next year in a position where we can't have a normal life. And where's New Zealand now? COVID free. And people are living their normal lives out there. Again, they're back to it. Yeah. And it didn't take the vaccine. It has nothing to do with the vaccine. That's not to say that they're not going to offer it and all that stuff in the country. But I'm saying, like, if we as a country could have at least united on the idea of a lockdown that was, strict and it was going to be hard, but that it was going to be worth by 2021, we can go to a motherfucking concert.
Sí.
Totally.
No, y también como, I don't know much about the way that New Zealand did it, but I'm sure that they did it in a civilized way.
Yeah.
Porque, por ejemplo, in Dominican Republic now, there's a lockdown. Like I was there and we were in the lockdown and it was like, they were like basically like hitting people on the streets. You know what I'm saying? Like a palo limpio, like if you're out. So it's like, I know there had to be like a middle ground and like a civilized way to go about it, but it just wasn't implemented. And now we're here.
And in some of the countries, in some of the Nordic countries, like the Denmarks and the Swedens and all that stuff, like they were also willing to pay their citizens money, stimulus, like consistent, not because, the first chequecito que nos dieron and now we got a little,
that check back in like,
and then we're like,
I got like 6 months later.
But because the big thing here in America, no es que la gente would refuse to stay home by any means, because obviously staying home doesn't mean that you're not allowed to step foot outside of your door. It's just like everything is shut down really, except for essential things. So you really can't, there's nothing to do outside, right? Mm-hmm. But we can't afford it. We can't say, keep the restaurants closed and keep this closed, because at the end of it, these motherfuckers are going to owe money that they can't afford with no business if people aren't coming in. And our country, instead of bailing out the people first, decided to bail out big businesses. And I'm like, what money are they going to make off of people who aren't making money? Give us the money first. We stimulate the economy. It's not the other way around. And so I get frustrated because I'm like, coño, talk about money. Why didn't y'all just pay us out so we could have stayed locked down for 2 to 3 months without worrying about whether or not we were going to get evicted or if our family can eat and all that stuff?
For living, for sustaining.
And I could have gone to that Future concert my damn self and been fucking mask off, like, but at least it would, you know what I mean? Like it would have been worth it. But now it's like we have to figure out how to live normally with COVID instead of trying to stop COVID so we can live normally.
And rush the vaccine while we're at it because we're like, oh my God, we need the vaccine because we're trying to get out there.
Yeah, but that's basically it. We're trying to live normal with COVID. Mm-hmm. That's it. You couldn't have said it better.
Una jodienda. All right. So moving on.
It's sad. It's just sad.
Yeah.